tutorial number 5. Uh, this is asymmetric algorithm. So, as following the previous trend, uh, there are a few multiple choice questions. Very simple, very easy. You can go through them by yourself. It's very simple. All the answers are in the lecture. So if you hear the lecture properly and read the contents of the lecture, you will be easily be able to answer all these multiple choice questions. Let me just read a few of them. So, for example, which of the following are valid uses of a certificate? What do you think so? Is it used for authentication, encryption, digital signatures, antivirus scanning? Uh, Over here, this is said choose all that apply. That means this question will have more than one answers. So based on your understanding, you must answer that. Authentication, we know, we have studied, we have a case studied about it, we have a case study about it. And what else, right? So for sure, certificates are not used for antivirus scanning. So these three would be the answers. But you need to make yourself sure is all these answers, are these the remaining three all the correct answers or not? So true or false, a certificate issued by a web server with one name can be used by another web server with another name without any problem. Is this true or not? How certificates how are certificates uniquely identified? So you can answer that. Then about the certificate authority. There are multiple certificate authority. There's an entire chain for it, right? Mm, yep. Hi, Mac. Welcome to the class. So we have some multiple choice questions in tutorial number 5, very easy. Um, then um, you want all certificate issued by a certificate authority to be trusted. Where should you place its root certificate? So you can think about it. You can go back to the slide and check the answers. A certificate authority issues itself the first certificate in the trust chain. What is the certificate authority called? So the first server in the chain of transmitting, generating, and transmitting certificates. What is the first member or the first person, uh, first entity server that will issue itself the first certificate? Then they're simple. I mean, you know that it's the root certificate authority. It's very simple. So an organization wants to create a certificate authority that will be used internally with the Microsoft domain with the ability to automatically enroll certificates for users. What should be created? So you can think about it. What should be the certificate authority that needs to be created for an organization? So it's very straightforward. So all these questions are pretty straightforward, um, right? So then there are a few small straightforward questions about hash function. A lot of students. I want to I want to comment that with the previous participation exercise, I have started to get to know my students more. So I know some of the students require more information. For some, it was not entirely clear. So do not worry much. With these experiences, I will try to improve the overall exercises and the assessment methods, and as well as all the assignments and everything, right? So many students contacted me about the participation exercise, like they were wondering here and there, but then finally they were able to find the answers. So we will then further talk about it in the lecture. Anyway, so talking about hash functions, there are a few questions, very straightforward. What is a hash function? And hash function doesn't use a key. Instead, it uses blah blah blah, a function, a mathematical algorithm. And then I said name and explain four possible certificate errors. So all these errors are written in your slide. You can see that and like clarify your understanding. Then I wanted to give you a experience of asymmetric key encryption and decryption. So before we use and I introduce you about the the simulators or freeware tools, I just put some description which you can read to summarize your concept about asymmetric key. So what is an asymmetric key algorithm? And the two main uses of asymmetric key algorithm, that is public key encryption and digital signatures, and what exactly they are. That's written here. Then the biggest one, what are the biggest problems or security issues, vulnerabilities in asymmetric key encryption methods is key management. Why exactly is that? So the entire explanation is written. So based on your knowledge about this algorithm, and will you read this paragraph, it will kind of will summarize everything in your mind. Then we are going to experience not asymmetric, in fact, asymmetric is with PGP. What is a PGP freeware tool? So what is a PGP freeware tool? It's an online software which is freely available to give us an experience about asymmetric encryption and decryption. So PGP stands for private pretty good privacy. It is a very famous algorithm being used by computer programs all over the world, and you can go to its website to further see that. It was created by Philip Zimmermann, and we have many variations of PGP. As because this is as the classes have been shifted to online mode, so I'm using this freeware tool. Otherwise, we would have used OpenPGP software. You can still download it and search for some tutorials, and you can practice that in the downloaded software, which is the actual software. But I just managed to find an online tool, so it's much easier to experience that. So we will be using three different simulators, which is key generator tool, encryption and decryption. It's very simple, very, very simple and very interesting. Um, of course, for asymmetric encryption and decryption, the first thing that is required is to generate key pair, the key pairs. What are the key pairs? The public key and the private keys. So imagine there's a Bob and Alice. They both want to talk and exchange messages. Both will first generate their key pair values, which is public and private key. Then they need to share their public keys with one and another. So each one of them will use the public key of the opposite end to encrypt the message and send it. When the message will be received, the receiver can use its private key to decrypt the message, right? So, let's go and first generate key for ourselves. So when you will click this, something of this sort will open in front of you. And you can see there are many fields. We have email address, we have password and passphrase. Then we have a field for private key and public key. Now, please I have written in the document as well. Um, I have written here as a disclaimer note, do not enter your actual email address. This is just for sake of our experience. So please do not enter your actual email or password. Do not enter that. I mean, if you enter there is not a big problem. But my advice is just simply do not put your email address or your actual password. So what I will do just to demonstrate, let's say my email address is xyz@gmail.com. So I'm just putting any dummy email. And as a paraphrase or a password, let's say I will keep 4 digit of the course code. What is the course code of our subject? 4515. So this is my key. So once I have this email address and I have generated a paraphrase or a password for it, I need to remember this paraphrase because this password, because this will be used in future to decrypt the message. So the PGP is, I mean, you can hover your key mouse key on top of it to further read about why exactly you have been asked to enter email and password. This is just one additional layer of security. Otherwise, there's no main concept. It has no main affiliation with the asymmetric algorithm. So once you have entered your email, once you have entered your email and password, all you need to do is just click generate PGP keys. So once I do that, I will see entire private key blocks. So on your right hand side on the screen is your public key, on the left hand side is your private key, and these are entire key blocks, right? So what you can do, either you can let this window to remain open, or what you can do is you can copy these keys and make two separate text files and save it in your computer. Normally that is the case. Right now, what I will simply do, I will just let this window remain open and I will not close it. Now I can go to um, this encryption tool. I can go to the encryption tool. And once I click the encryption tool, what I can see is there are two fields. I have to put copy paste public key, and then I have to enter a message that I want to be encrypted. So here I assume that I am Bob and you are Alice, and I have received your public key. So I am going to use your public key, which you have provided me, and I'm copy pasting here, and I'm going to encrypt the message. So for sake of message, what should be the message? The message is um, mm, Hong Kong, Hong Kong, COVID. Um, let's say my prayers are that Hong Kong get back to normal soon. So that's the message, right? So we have copy pasted our public key, we have entered our message, and all I need to do is to just hit encrypt message tab. And the moment I do it, this message has been encrypted. Then what you need to do is I have sent this encrypted message to Alice. Alice will use this decryption tool. Alice already have its own private key, which is this one. So let me copy the private key. Here you can see first you need to put the private key, then you need to put the password that you created in the first stage, and then you need to copy paste the encrypted message. So let me first copy paste the private key, then let me put the password 4515, and then in your encrypted message. So where's the encrypted message? Here's the encrypted message. I will copy it all and I can paste it here. And all I need to do is just decrypt the message, and the message has been decrypted. You can see the message is I pray. Is this the message? Okay, not I. My prayers. My prayers are I. My prayers are that Hong Kong get back to normal soon, and the remaining is excluded. So your message has been recovered. So it gives you pretty much idea how the encryption and decryption works. So let's say if I try to just refresh this again, and let me close this. and click the decryption tool again and copy paste the private key, copy and paste here. And what I do is I also copy paste the encrypted text, copy and paste here. And if I try to directly hit decrypt message without entering the password or phrase, it will give me an error. It says the checksum mismatch. Checksum is like error detection method, and it says that there is some error and something is not matching, and hence we are not able to decrypt your message. So once I enter my password 4515, and now if I try to decrypt it, so it will be able to decrypt the message, and there is it. So that's how it is. You can try different exercises like you can two people can generate your let's say any two of your two student can generate your public and private keys, and then you can encrypt the message using the public key and share your private key so other person can use your encrypted message and the private key to decrypt the message. So, or you just generate your public and private keys, exchange your public keys, and then by using the public key, you can encrypt the messages and send to your intended receivers. The receivers will use their private key to decrypt the message, and they can recover. So then there is, I was selling. Please do not go into this iGolder and the stuff. I mean, do not go into it. Then I saw this PGP email encryption. I did not try it, but what you can do, you can just go through it and see how does this work, and you can also simulate your emails, and you can set up your email transactions and set up some encryptions on top of it, just for if you're interested. So that's it. That's your entire tutorial. I think it's again a very simple, very straightforward tutorial. There's not such any rocket science into it, and it's pretty much give you an idea how things work. Uh, so if you have any questions, you can ask me. Yes, Mac, you need to copy the entire thing, everything. I know what you mean, but for this tool, yeah, I have tried without copying the headers, also without copying those diamond signs. But in this tool, you have to copy the entire thing. I remember when I was uh, doing this cloud computing and I was trying to establish uh, a connection between my sensor device and I was trying to send data to the AWS cloud. So we have to download certificates in which there were public and private keys. And those public and private keys will be generated on the cloud. You have to download them and then you have to put it inside your code in your sensors. So sensors will use the information provided in the cloud, the public and private key, and then they will use the sensors and you have to insert some piece of code to communicate your sensor with the cloud. Only then the cloud will, so your last end, that means the communication of your sensor to the cloud was encrypted. So we have to, even in that certificate, perhaps I will show you in the next slide. Even in that uh, even in that slide, it was pretty similar to this one. So we have to select, like, the entire thing needed to be selected, the block of it in it. But later on, I managed to use these only the main key itself. This is just a headers, right? But I saw lots of people just copying the entire block, including the headers and other stuff. But of course, according to the programming language, they will be ignored and only the keys. starting from this line will be considered and used in the code. So that's not a big problem. And then I understand your question about like, do I need to select the entire block, even including these diamond signs? So should I not simply ignore these diamond signs and headers? And you may try that, and you will see. You will, at least I did not try it intensively, but I initially copied only this thing, and it was not working. So I think the entire the background of this online software, uh, it is designed in a way that this entire blocks needs to be copy pasted. Then so it has much to do how you handle the data. So you can only encrypt with public key in this tool. Yes, I think so. So this is idea of giving you a feel of asymmetric encryption and decryption, in which we use public key to encrypt the message, and we use private key to decrypt the message. So I have written, if you read the document, uh, after generating keys, I have written here that after completing the procedure, you can assume that you have encrypted the message or the plain text with receiver's public key. So just assume that you have received a public key through digital certificate, and then you have used that public key to encrypt your message and send it. Once the receiver will receive it, which actually it's you can use your private key to decrypt the message. So that's it. Anything else? Your questions give me feel that my students are getting curious how things work, which is a good sign. So if you have any other questions, please let me know. And I think the tutorial is very simple and straightforward. Uh, and I've uploaded the tentative answers for the previous tutorial as well. The solution is uploaded. I think only tutorial 3 remains. I will try to see and upload the answers for that tutorial as well very soon. So if there are no any questions, then you're allowed to leave. Make sure you mark your attendance, stay safe, and that's it. All right. Oh, take care. Bye, Kwan. Bye, Mac. See you. Bye, Ting. Take care. Bye, everyone. Bye, bye. Bye, Billy. Take a good care.